I didn't go to Pilates for 2 weeks. Okay, game.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
When you follow then GitHub Works in Vietnam,
Yeah.
did you have any expectation regarding the lifestyle here? How did you feel before that and then during? How did you imagine the thing?
Yeah. The expectations first. Any city for me is like wow because I'm from the island,
island.
right?
Yes.
The only thing that I couldn't really do it up to now is just go on motorbikes. I I just feel like because in the Philippines we have a lot of cars, right? It's rarely that you see people on motorbike. When I just feel like you're too exposed when you're on motorbike, so that's one of the
It's
struggle.
scary.
But every time I'm out of Ho Chi Minh City, I enjoy going on motorbikes and because it's not as busy, right? But here, something that I really enjoyed in being in Ho Chi Minh City, especially a few years back, 5-6 years ago, you can be very busy in the city. You still have these old French buildings, and then you drive an hour and you're in a rice paddy. Or 5 hours back then you were in Moine, which is a beach or something. That's something that's very unique.
It's unique.
In a city like as big as Ho Chi Minh City. That kind of balance. You can be busy, party hard in the city, and then a few hours drive you're somewhere completely different.
Totally.
And that's really beautiful about Saigon.
What is beautiful is the mix between authenticity and modernity.
Yes.
And I think it's a great
Yes.
thing that catch people and make them stay here.
Yep.
Actually.
And also the difference with what it offers compared to what we have back home. So Philippines is basically heavily influenced by Spanish, and also Polynesian culture,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
So when I arrived here, mainland, so you have the mainland Asian culture and the French culture. So for me, everything was new and
So cosmopolitan.
right, exactly. So I love it.
Amazing.
In the bars.
How often you go out then?
Before, very often. Now, no. I'm
Now, no?
old.
Now,
old.
no more?
Yeah, no.
Becoming wise?
Becoming old.
Becoming old? How old are you? You're not
I'm
old.
30 now.
30, so
Yes.
you're not old.
Older
Watch.
than I was.
Okay. When you were a child, did you have any big dreams?
My biggest dream was I always wanted to be a lawyer. Because in the Philippines, if you're a lawyer, you're very powerful, and we thought there's a lot of money in law, which I realized now not really the case all the time, depending on what type of law you're practicing, right? So that was the dream. I wanted to be a lawyer because I feel like I'm gonna thrive debating with people and expressing my thoughts and organizing my talking points and so on. But I think destiny is great because now that I look back, I don't think I'm gonna be a very good lawyer. I am not the most patient person, and I like always something new and creating
Yes.
something new. Now that I turned 30, my 20s, I spent a lot on achieving my financial goals, my career goals, opening companies, and so on. Now that I'm 30, I wanted to go back to the Philippines more often because before I go home once a year.
Once a year.
Now I go home every month. I do a lot of yes.
Good progress.
A lot of talks actually talks in events for HR, of course, the industry we operate, but also for a lot of students that there is an option for them beyond the corporate world. A lot of them just really not just, but a lot of them were educated and influenced that your career ladder should be junior executive, senior executive, CEO. I want to expose them to the possibility that at a young age, given the right resources, talent, and mentorship, they could potentially open their own businesses.
That is super interesting what you are saying right now. What do you think is lacking in the education for people like just to find their wants, their likes?
Yeah.
Because I think that many people have a lot of drive
Yeah.
or motivation, but not
Yeah.
especially for something that we learn at school
Yeah.
specifically, right?
Yeah, I think
So-
for me, the good thing, for me it's always a double-edged sword, right? In developing countries like Vietnam, the Philippines, there are a lot of talented kids. Unfortunately, the instinct is to survive first,
Yes.
because majority of us come from the below or on poverty line. So our instinct is to have a stable job, have a regular monthly income, because we don't want to go back to a point where we only eat twice a day, or we don't have something really good on the table. So a lot of kids' mentality is to find a stable job, and there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
there's nothing
right?
wrong.
I think now that these countries are developing, kids are more exposed to exploring the idea of why should I not create my own app
Yeah.
or my own business and so on, and it's beautiful. We're getting there, but
We're getting there.
yeah,
'Cause
but not yet.
Especially here in Vietnam, I see that there are many, many entrepreneurs. They are
Yeah.
so young,
Yeah.
at a young age, compared to, I'm French, so compared to France, there are not so many like entrepreneurs that are in the 20s. It's more like you are in the 30s, 40s,
Yes.
to set up something by your own.
Yeah.
So I think that Vietnamese, they are very brave,
Yep.
actually, and they have a business mind really early.
Yeah.
They really think business like super early, and I think it's really
It's
inspiring.
it's really inspiring to be here. I think every time I open a new startup, the testing market is in Vietnam. Whether Vietnam is my target market or not, I always test it here.
Really?
Yes, because the energy is different. Number one, the market is huge, and the the openness of the people to try out new things is just really out there. The sad thing, though, about having a lot of young entrepreneurs is I don't know if the entities that should be guiding the growth are there. For example, the government now is very strong. I was just in an event last week where the government launched a program on supporting startups, basically ecosystem from financing, mentorship, etc. And then they connect it with corporate companies, right? So they call it the Open Innovation Initiative,
Okay.
which is great.
Okay.
But I think there should be more action from the corporate, from the coaching, the mentorship, from established startups to actually give back and support these young entrepreneurs. Because that energy of these young entrepreneurs is actually a capital, and you don't want to waste it. Because once they experience failure, that motivation is different.
Yes.
So while that energy is high, there should be enough mentorship, support, and ecosystem to really harness that energy and convert it into a productive type of business venture. Yeah. So for all those out there who has the capacity to mentor, to support startups, please do. Especially in Ho Chi Minh City, the energy is really there. There are a lot of new and young entrepreneurs who need that guidance and mentorship.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Does that mean that you mentor a lot of startup?
Yes.
How many?
So
I didn't count.
Yeah. I have like
much.
monthly talks.
Monthly
Monthly
talks?
talks with some of them.
Okay.
Back then, when my third startup got a big investment, I saved up an amount and I started finding entrepreneurs and investing in them. So I have around 16 startups that I invested on. Angel invested.
16.
Yeah.
Wow.
Angel invested on, but you can only do as much. So I had to stop because
16 is a lot. Since
Yeah.
how long? 16.
since for 4 years now.
4 years. Wow. So
All of them are
generous.
still surviving.
They are still surviving?
Still
Really?
surviving. Yeah.
How do you choose them then?
For a very young, depends on the stage. For a very young startup, I always look at the founding team. Do they have the capacity, the mental capacity, and also the energy to really push forward? Because the earliest days are the most difficult.
Yes.
No matter how
I know.
good the founder, right? No matter how good the founder is in terms of skills, no matter how good the business idea is, if you don't have that, okay, I failed, so I cry one night, tomorrow is a new day. That's an amazing mentality. And to know a founder who thinks that way and who has that mentality is the most important for early stage startups. For mid stage, later stage startups, of course, it's all different discussion. It's about traction, finances,
Yeah,
etc.
right.
I don't. It's boring for me.
So you invest more in very early stage startup than
Before.
like mid stage.
Yeah.
You see their potential. Okay, so now I would like to know more about the before UpUp App.
Yeah.
So you were working at Vietnamese.
Uh-huh.
So I want to know, how did you have the click to change and to be an entrepreneur? How did you get the idea? Can you tell me more?
Well, it started. I always knew that I wanted to be a businessman. There's something there that I always wanted to trade. You know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time in Vietnamese. We have the most amazing team. I was the youngest in the management team.
Wow.
Yeah. So I kind of learned how to hold back a little bit because when you're young you're like, and I learned a lot from the management team there. But I really learned that I need to push for a business 1 year after I was in the company. After a year, we doubled our user from 1 million to 2 million. And I knew that I needed to capitalize on my strength because it was a perfect timing to launch a business that is digital and name it as my own business.
Yeah.
But yeah, back when I could think, once I was already in a corporate world, I always knew I would be running a business one day.
Okay, so you knew it from the Philippines already.
Yeah, you know
You
it.
knew
It's in your blood.
In your instinct.
Yeah, like when you sit in an office table doing your daily job and you start thinking of, oh, can I trade this? Can I trade that? That's already a sign that potentially it could be a business.
But how did you have the idea to build UpUp App then after Vietnamese?
UpUp App was out of frustration from all the startups I invested in.
Oh, okay.
And also out of the frustration from all the clients of Vietnamworks. A lot of them, my startups that I invested on, were telling me, Paul, it's so difficult because we spend money on recruitment, training, and these kids come in and then 6 months later they go. And then you have to hire again.
Plus in Vietnam.
Right? 1 month you lose the productivity because nobody's doing it while you're wasting money again on recruitment, training, same cycle. For our clients in Vietnamworks, they're saying the same. Okay, we invest a lot in recruitment, right? But then people come and go. So recruitment business is going very well. For not a very good reason, right? So
Yes.
I think the idea there, I said, okay, maybe I should automate, help solve this issue for me.
Okay, so this was a way for you to solve the issue of the turnover.
Yes,
Okay.
initially the turnover. So I look at how Google, LinkedIn, Accenture are doing their retention program. They have a goal management system called OKR. Yeah. So the initial thought was, okay, let's automate OKR setting. But for me, I'm a millennial. I feel like there's something missing. I'm like, if I'm the staff, will it really solve me wanting to stay here? I don't think so. So I went to Stanford for a 3 months program, and I met a lot of very interesting people. And then one of the friends there said, why don't you gamify it? I'm like, what do you mean gamify? Like put the elements of game in the OKR system. And then we researched. I called my professor in the university, who is now our CTO. And I said, Sir Vlad,
Wow.
yes, Sir Vlad, I have this idea and I don't know how to polish it. This is the vision, this is the concept. So we sat down for 3 months. This is 2017. And then we just started talking about it, and we came up with a very simple 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, which is now UpUp App.
And so you were on your own, or you had like a right hand with you, someone that helped you?
A French guy.
French guy?
Jeremy.
Jeremy, yes.
Yeah.
So how did you meet? How can you trust someone to work with, especially in for a business that is yours?
Yeah.
How?
So for me, when I
handle
find
that?
a business partner, 2 things, of course, skill sets. I know my weaknesses. I know what things that I have a lot of things I can't do. I need someone who can do that very well. And number 2, who has the patience to work with me. In the company, they call me Kitty Thanos because I'm very, very nice. But if you piss me off, you're gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like,
So they call me Kitty Thanos. So this co-founder, Jeremy, has both 2 things. I knew that if I deploy the app, I needed rewards. I need people to work with restaurants, hotels as a reward put in the market, right? I don't want to walk in restaurants and ask if you want to put. I can't do that, right? I can do all the working with the HR and all that. Jeremy was working for a TV channel here called Yawan TV, and he was handling sponsorships, and he's working with basically all the merchants. So I thought, okay, this is the perfect guy to work with. At the same time, he's very patient, and we are basically very opposite. So I could see that we could work in a very long term because he can handle my personality, and I like that personality that's not overpowering like mine. Otherwise, we're going to be a clash of rainbow in the office, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jeremy, and then of course Dr. Mariano. Dr. Mariano is our CTO.
Yes.
He is the quiet genius in the trio. So he sits in the corner. I tell him what I want, and then after a week he comes back with me like a 3-page explanation on how we can implement it on tech, what's the best way to put it out there and all that. So it's a good mixture of founders. So when I saw that combination, I said, I'll forget my early retirement and I go back in the startup scene.
Business.
But I will brand this because I think there's a potential here, and I can personally associate my personal brand with this new concept because it's new. There's nothing done yet anywhere in the world that's similar.